What is up, guys? Anthony here, and I just wanted to put this in the beginning of the show. There will be no spoiler discussion in this show. We did record this a few days ago, but I just want to let everyone know that we are only talking about stuff that has been released in an official capacity, and we will not be discussing spoilers. So if you are avoiding spoilers and you made it to this video or podcast, don't worry, there will not be any spoiler material in this podcast. So hope everybody enjoys, and we only have a few more days until Resident Evil 9.
Jake Olszewski.
Yeah. Let's talk Resident Evil, who I met
Yes.
at the horror convention I did in Pennsylvania.
What is up, everybody?
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Welcome back to another episode of the Let's Talk Resident Evil podcast.
Final episode before we have our hands on Resident Evil 9 Requiem.
It's the final episode until we review it, we play it, we stream it, and all that good stuff. It's crazy that we're finally here. The months have flown by really quickly, and especially now with how everything has been with like trying to finish the Legacy series, trying to do videos on top of that. It's just been it's been fun, but it's been a fucking nightmare, to say the least. But
yeah, as you're watching this, the Legacy series has concluded.
yeah,
We did have to cut Rev 1 and Rev 2, but we had already had an internal discussion that we'll be featuring those games in whatever series we do next first to kind of make up for that, whether that be a challenge series or a whatever.
Yeah.
We have nothing to announce here today for that, but yeah, so we just got done playing Village in RE4 on Thursday. This is being recorded before that happens.
yes,
It's a little behind the scenes thing.
Right.
That's tomorrow for us, but you guys will have seen me play through Village for the first time since 2021. And Anthony sit through Village for the first time pretty much since 2021.
yeah, on the channel, yeah,
Yeah, but I think you did like the Mercenaries mode streams.
and
that was
Village
it.
of Shadows and stuff.
And the
like
Village
that.
of Shadows,
Yeah.
yeah. So like the base game, just chilling, enjoying the story.
It's been a
It'll be
while.
the first time. And then RE4 Remake, obviously, we love. And Anthony will be finishing that off. And
It's been a crazy ride, man. Like
It has been.
The road to Resident Evil 9 is almost coming to a close, and we know that like kind of that week or this upcoming week, it's basically going to come out, and that's it. Everything kind of stops. The hypes, the theories, the discussion. It will continue further because we'll find out what happens in Resident Evil 9. But this podcast, we wanted to kind of take a look at like just everything in the rear view up until this point. Now that we're coming off of the 4th trailer that came out at the State of Play, we did coverage on that. John and Dustin did a video on it as well. So we really done everything as each trailer has come out. But we wanted to take this podcast one last look, this kind of pre-release podcast,
Yeah.
to just kind of discuss little things that maybe we forgot about, maybe things you forgot about.
Leon gets announced, and all of a sudden, nobody's really talking about trailer 1 and 2.
Exactly.
It's kind of easy to forget that in trailer 1 we have a hooded figure that may or may not be Victor. We have, somebody with some kind of weird power, black goo power, killing Alyssa.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to get sidetracked when you're seeing all this new fancy toys.
Yeah.
So we want to take a look back, go through all of it, and then you're definitely going to want to stick around for this episode because Anthony and I are going to be doing a wish list. We're going to be doing our final thoughts before we play the game right here. And we're going to give you guys some of our final predictions. And those will all be after we kind of go through everything once again.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off with trailer number 1
Back in June of 2025.
back in June.
Over half a year ago, which is insane.
Crazy to think
say.
we're already here.
Yeah.
Remember, we were all like, who the fuck's this? Like, who's this?
Yeah.
This
Who's
Grace
this
character.
person?
Where's Jill? Where's
Then we heard
Leon?
Ashcroft, and we're like, holy crap.
Yeah.
It's related
I
to
thought it was an
Alyssa.
X-Files game at first. Like, when it was on the screen, I was like,
Yeah.
what in the X-Files is this? Because it literally felt like you're in the FBI, you have the suit. Obviously, they wear the suits, but you have like the Men in Black vibe of the people walking around in suits. And I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, like, Men in Black game? And then out loud, I think on our reaction, I said, X-Files? Like, what is this?
It looked like the RE engine. And
It
that's,
did.
That's the
That
one
was what
thing
was
that
really
kinda-
confusing.
Yeah, I was like, this looks like the RE engine, but then they kind of threw everybody a curveball
Mm-hmm.
because they said You'll have to wait and see for more RE stuff, and then it cut to some other trailers, and then they saved RE9 for the last at Summer Game Fest, which is Keeley's event, and he's been kind of giving the exclusives all throughout this process. You know, they've been giving Keeley, you know, his events, Game Awards, showed the Leon trailer. They've been really giving him the keys to a lot of this these trailers and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think, you know, seeing Grace for the first time, seeing, you know, Nathan Dempsey, who's the boss as well, who, again, some people are kind of sus about. They're not sure, you know, he's wearing a wedding ring. He could just be married, or is he connected to the family in some way, or does he have this ring that some of these other staff members have for a reason? We don't know. We're just kind of speculating, but there's always that, like, betrayal of trust that happens with leadership in Resident Evil.
Yep.
And so I think that's why a lot of people immediately are like, there's something sketchy about this Nathan
It's very
guy.
common.
Why would he send Grace in, whether it's by herself or to get kidnapped or to get taken, right? There's those theories as well. But, you know, the bodies that are being recovered that we now know are getting, you know, taken out by Raccoon City Syndrome. They are survivors of Raccoon City. This is stuff that we now have confirmed.
Yeah, and with Nathan in particular, because we do know that the family is most likely involved with Resident Evil Requiem, there's been a lot of hints that point towards the family, right? And we even talked about, like, how even with the rings, like, Victor has some crazy rings on his fingers. He's got so many rings on his one hand. It's like he's Tom Brady collecting Super Bowl rings.
Yep.
So it was really interesting that if the family, because the family was pulling strings with Simmons and a lot of the government and stuff like that. So if the family connection with Simmons, you know, teetered out, and one of the things he says in RE6, we just got done playing all these games, is like, you know, you can't turn your back on me, I'm your family, or you can't turn your back on family, Vin Diesel, right? Like, Simmons says something along those lines on the train when the helicopter decides to peace out, leave him there. Who's to say Victor isn't a part of the family or has control or access to the family, and they're still in the government? Who's
There's
to say that
in there.
he didn't just pick up the phone and go, oh, Grace is the key. She's the one I need. Send her to the hotel. And then Nathan is just like, oh, yes, sir. And then just fucking goes and sends her.
Yeah.
Right? This is stuff that you think about later on before the first trailer came out. You didn't know this, like, connection. But it's possible this is our answer. Because it's very unprofessional to send somebody to their mother's death. Maybe 8 years later, I guess, you could say it's a little less suspicious, but it's pretty suspicious. Alone?
Yeah.
And her job is not even really to go to things like this. She's an analyst. She's not the main person with the boots on the ground.
No,
she's supposed
she's
to be
sitting
there
with
with
the
a
files
team.
and the folders
Yeah.
and going through stuff collectively as a team. Exactly.
She's maybe not a forensic analyst, but she's like an analyst in general. So if they're bringing, well, she probably is a forensic analyst because she's looking at the dead bodies and trying to write like a report, right? So they're sending her stuff to look at. Not sending her places, and if they did send her places, they definitely shouldn't be sending her alone. But the game's got a game, and the story's got to be told. But I would give props to Capcom if they had him call in. It's Mr. Gideon.
Yeah.
Send her to the hotel.
Yeah, exactly.
You
It's
know,
something
it would be really cool.
Something you find out at the end, you
Yeah.
know, that you didn't know who was pulling the strings all along was actually, you know, also your boss at your job. So that's the thing. We're kind of used to the betrayal factor in RE.
Like you said earlier, it's Wesker, Simmons, Chief Irons. The leadership is not very well established.
That's where I
Krauser.
think, yeah, these theories come from that. And so, yeah, that history sometimes repeats, or multiple times it repeats. So I think, you know, we find out that obviously Alyssa was murdered. We still haven't really seen the full scene. We've seen leading up to it. We'll get to that in the other trailer. But, yeah, it's a very different trailer looking back now. Like you said, you connect all these dots now. And this is the first time we saw glimpses of Raccoon City was in the first trailer. And until the last trailer, trailer 4, that was the first time they actually showed us more of Raccoon City since this trailer. So they've been very sparing with these shots of the crater. Obviously, we've seen that. But, you know, the RPD, we saw the outside, we saw the inside for a quick second. But they were kind of keeping that stuff hidden. And I'm fine with that. Obviously, we've seen a lot. 90% of this ad stuff has been at the Chronic Care Center. 90% of the footage we've seen, or everything, all the gameplay footage has been at the Chronic Care Center, but the trailers have basically all been showing that in the Renwood Hotel and her office.
Which, just like Village, this seems to be their marketing strategy moving forward, is show them everything in the first couple of hours and leave more to be, up for experience instead of spoiling it.
Exactly. And even today, like as of today, 9 days until RE9, they posted a thing on social media. They said 9 days until you get to explore the Chronic Care Center. Like they're making that the place that you're going to be like, focusing on, even though it's not entirely the full thing of the game. It's not going to be the whole entirety of the game. Obviously, we saw, the stalker enemy for the first time, that was shown all throughout every single trailer since we saw, the people kind of wondering who this is. Is it Lisa Trevor? Is it her mom, Alyssa? Like, we've seen all these theories that these guys and gals online kind of are talking about. And, it's all interesting theories. Lisa Trevor, that's kind of been debunked, especially by the devs themselves. However, Alyssa being the stalker enemy is still very possible. It's not to say that it is out of the realm of possibility. So
yeah, there's nothing proving or disproving it at this moment.
Yeah. We get a shot of a guy that we haven't really seen in any other trailer. The stay away from...
Stay away from...
It's like, who is that guy? We've never seen him in any other trailer after this first trailer. And where do you think he is, John? Like, as far as, like, do you think he's in, like, that basement or concrete area that we kind of saw in trailer 4, like, where Emily is actually located? Like, I'm curious, like, where that actually is. Because you can kind of see behind him, you see steps.
Yeah, it definitely, to me, looks like he's in a similar room to the one that Emily is shown in. So this might be one of Gideon's researchers. I'm gonna say it because I know this is something that I'm gonna just say it. I think he has a beard now, but I think this is the guy who killed Alyssa.
Really?
I think this is the same guy because this is the present, right? 8 years he grew a beard.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the guy who killed Alyssa and is the one in the hood at the Renwood Hotel.
A lot of people are wondering who that is in the hood, if it's not Victor, right? And if it's somebody else, because
it's like a henchman or
a little
something.
bit different. Yeah. So, like, what connection does this person have?
But after analyzing the scene with the hooded figure, Victor's height doesn't match up with that hooded figure. So
his skin is still cracked, though.
I wonder, his skin looks a little crackly.
Is he dealing with Raccoon City Syndrome as well?
He could be.
And that's why he's not there 8 years later, because he's dead? Because it's just Victor Gideon now?
Yeah, could be.
Maybe the hooded man is only in the beginning of the game, and then it's one of his guys that gets taken out by Raccoon City Syndrome. I don't know.
Or the Victor Gideon photo is actually from relatively recently, and he turns all of the doctors during the events when Leon arrives, knowing full well that's not just any schmuck following me, that's Leon S. Kennedy. And if anybody's going to stop me, it's going to be him. So he turns everybody, right? We have yet to see how he turns people. So we don't know how fast it could be. If it's gas in the air, it would make sense to turn Leon. If he has to stab him with something or inject them with something, or it's already injected and he has to activate it, we don't know yet. But I wouldn't be too surprised if this guy is either the guy who is snapping necks. We joke about snapping necks. He stabbed somebody. He stabbed the manager. Or if maybe this is just one of Victor's higher researchers who is trying to say, stay away from her. Or here's another theory. This character could potentially be FBI. And they're monitoring Victor Gideon's progress. He's a government official that is there in secret. And then this happens when Grace finds this little girl.
Yeah, no,
and then
it's
she's
possible.
like, she sees Grace as a way out, so she kills him. Maybe Grace caps him. We don't know because we've only seen this little part.
He hasn't shown up in any other trailer.
But he is wearing a suit.
Yeah.
So maybe he is an FBI agent. Well, I remember we speculated he could be Grace's partner.
We did.
And this could be the beginning of the game. I think this is the end of the Chronic Care Center. And he is a government official. I'm going to change my theory. He's not the one in the hood. He's just a government official, unless the FBI was trying to kill Alyssa. I can't wait to play the game. But go ahead. Keep going. Keep going. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I think it's very possible that the hooded guy, whether it's not the dead guy on the floor or the dying guy on the floor, it could be, maybe somebody else that is with him at the care center.
It could be a grown-up version of the red-eyed kids. Like a body that's just like he just sent them to do a bidding.
Yeah.
It could be.
Where they're in his control, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
because we see the glowing eyes of the kids in the 4th trailer. There's a lot of interesting things that, again, we don't even know exactly how or why this hooded figure is there, other than the fact that, like, he's with Gideon, and, he's also there when the shit with Alyssa goes down. So we've yet to see who exactly that is if it's not Victor Gideon himself. There's a lot of interesting stuff out there, so we're going to have to, kind of see what happens once the game comes out. At this point, Leon was still under wraps. There was rumors, but there was nothing concrete. And, we obviously saw the shot of the zombie cop as well, so it confirmed that zombies were back in this game, which was really cool. We just didn't know how they would act or what they would look like and stuff like that. With the second trailer, they jumped right into when Grace and Alyssa were together for the last time. This is kind of the turning point in which, she's been watched, they've been followed. There's been kind of years building up to, what their plan is. And I say they, I mean Victor Gideon and his people, or, the person that he's with trying to get.
His master.
Yeah, the master, right? Because that's the biggest thing. Like, who is the master? That's another question that a lot of people had. We know that it kind of cuts away when Alyssa's fate is about to change, basically. Whether it's, her getting stabbed, getting grabbed, and we know that the Redwood Hotel 100% burns down. And, we see Grace coming back to it after the fact and retrieving, that stuff, the photos and stuff like that.
Once she's an agent 8 years later after the death.
Yeah. Him finding out this information and following them closely goes into whatever research he found further along the line that had to do with what this syndrome is, how he's trying to unleash this Elpis, this cure that we think is a cure, if it does kind of withstand what the meaning of Elpis is. And yeah, I mean, this was a big one because this was when we really got a good look at what this game had to offer, how it was going to be setting up. You had stuff at Gamescom, you had the different trailers and stuff like that still showed the same thing. You obviously had the demo, same exact thing. Came out in the summer, people played it. We just saw shots of Grace's gameplay getting stalked by the stalker enemy, running around, trying to escape. And that's kind of that sweet spot of like where we were at in the hype of like everything starting from June all the way until, November. We had those glimpses of Grace this, Grace that, who she's involved with, her mom, how she gets murdered, or, the idea kind of, wrapped around it. We don't see how she actually gets got. Then we kind of waited a few months and weren't really sure if we were going to get a demo, what to expect. And it was a little bit more of on the quiet side while we were sitting here. You had your survival unit come out. You had, the movie stuff was being talked about. And it was quiet until the beginning of December when Keighley said, hey, we're going to show the Game Awards, right? We're going to show RE9. It's going to be confirmed because State of Plays were kind of lucking out. Pre-orders didn't even have a date until the middle of October, and for late October. Then we got the Leon trailer at the Game Awards, and that's when things kind of changed.
Yep.
It was definitely a different vibe this time with Leon in the trailer. It was more of an action-packed trailer because we kind of saw his side of the gameplay, but we also knew that this game was not going to be just Grace. It is, in fact, going to have Leon. And that's when things kind of shifted.
It's when the hype really popped off.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people were complaining about the Leon reveal too. Let's not skip over that. Oh boy. A lot of people were upset that Leon was getting shown because they wanted this game to be entirely Grace. Or they didn't want Leon, they didn't want Chris. But you can still have a really good story with a legacy character blended with a new character. And I think we've seen that a lot. We've seen that with RE4. I thought Ashley was a great character, right? Resident Evil 4 Remake especially.
Yes.
RE5 had Sheva. Great character. I have no problems with Sheva. Other than the fact that she killed Wesker at the end, which shouldn't have happened. But that's not her fault. That's
the writing.
Yeah, it's the writing. She's still a good character. She had good motives. She had a good history. They did a good job with her. We got Piers and Helena and Jake. Jake's probably the weakest of those three characters in terms of like, okay, well now how come we never knew he had a son? And Leon already knew because he didn't even need to know.
He already knew.
He already knew it was Wesker's son. Sherry didn't tell him.
No.
He just knew.
He just knew. So why does he know? But Chris doesn't. Yeah.
There's some weird writing with 6, obviously, but it's just interesting, is all I'm going to say. It's just interesting, like...
I think it's great that we both
that
get
people
it.
were mad.
Yeah, I think it's great that we both get both characters, and I think...
a legacy and a new.
Because I genuinely do like Grace. Like I said, the first couple trailers, before we got to the Leon trailer, it was great. We saw her gameplay. It was a lot of stealth. It wasn't a lot of action. There wasn't a lot of stuff going on. A lot of people might have based their judgment around what those first few trailers showed and didn't show, which is entirely fine if you're like looking at the game and you say, okay, do I really want to hide the whole time? Do I really only want to have this amount of ammo? Do I really just want to like run around and just keep hiding? And people were concerned. Grace as a character, though, we were like, awesome. We're all in. We were just kind of like, okay, let's see more of the gameplay.
Yeah.
And up into this trailer, it was the same thing over and over again. We saw little glimpses, little cinematics in the couple trailers. Like I said, we saw the Grace gameplay. We saw the Alyssa cutscene. We saw different things, and it all looked good. Not taking anything away from those couple trailers and those months of hype, but by the time we see Leon, we're like, okay, this makes sense because you are going back to Raccoon City. This game is taking a risk going back to Raccoon City after this long. You know, changing things, adding things to the lore, you know, making things not completely destroyed like they were in the original Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, making things actually survive post the RE3 remake ending. It was huge for us to get excited because Leon was finally confirmed. There was no fucking bullshit. Also, the fact that they kind of blew the load because it got leaked on the deluxe edition a few days
Sony.
before.
And let's not pretend that we weren't disappointed before this, because we had a whole video talking about how the marketing was piss poor. Because before this trailer dropped, we had no fucking idea what was going on. There was no collector's edition. They revealed the pre-orders, but they didn't reveal, like... It was just... That was the worst marketing Resident Evil has ever had, ever.
In the first few months.
The opening trailer was fine. The second trailer was good, but from the second... The time between the second and the third trailer was atrocity.
September to December, it was literally what's going on, where are the pre-orders, where's more gameplay, there's no public demo. Like, there's a lot of, like, weird shit that just kind of, like, stunted. But here's Survival Unit, and here's Zach Krager's movie news and stuff, and it's like, well, we're kind of just waiting for more RE9 stuff. And then we finally got, you know, this Game Awards trailer, which made people excited. I mean, it was the big thing of, like, holy shit, this game is going to have action. It's going to have horror. You know, Leon will sell this game, right? And not saying Grace couldn't sell the game, because I was already sold on the game anyway. I think all of us were. But it is a really cool thing to see new character, legacy character, going back to Raccoon City. It feels like a full circle kind of moment being 30 years into this franchise this year. Going in next month, 30 years of Resident Evil. So it makes sense that this is coming out when it's coming out, and they're bringing Leon back to the place where it all started for him and many of these survivors. Now, there is the big reveal in this trailer. You know, we see more of the zombies and stuff like that. You know, we see more of the close-up of the infection, the eyes, you know, the marks on the arm. You know, we now know, obviously, Leon's infected and stuff like that. And what Raccoon City Syndrome wasn't in this trailer as far as stated, but we saw it. And then we also found out what Elpis is, you know, ideally what it could be. It didn't really explain it, but it says, you know, Elpis was in the Raccoon City file that was redacted. Elpis, unleashing Elpis. What is Elpis? Some people say it's a virus. Some people say it's a cure. Hope is what it means in Latin. So is it the hope? Is it the cure that is going to lead to what Victor Gideon wants, which is,
It's the last thing in Pandora's box.
Right. So is Grace what that is? That's going to save his life if
or
he
is
gets
Emily
her blood.
Elpis?
Or is Emily Elpis, right? Now that we have Emily, a whole new character that we're going to get into. It's just, there's so much that they've definitely savored stuff on purpose, and that's fine. We're not saying that we want everything shown to us and we want everything and feel like we're entitled fans, but we definitely wanted to see a little bit more, and this trailer, at least for the Game Awards, delivered. And there really is a lot of stuff that kind of goes into why Leon is there now, going to the Chronic Care Center, seeking some kind of answer for what's going on for him or trying to figure it out. And, Sherry talking to him on the radio. Up until this point, they haven't said, hey, it's Sherry, but just judging from what we saw from the last trailer as well, and this trailer, it's pretty much Sherry. I'm going to say it's Sherry.
It's 100% Sherry.
Because it just makes sense. Yeah, I just, because I don't want people to be like, oh, you guys did play the game. It's like,
no.
We're just saying it's Sherry because you could definitely tell it's the same haircut.
It sounds almost identical to RE6 Sherry.
She's got the white and the blue like RE6.
I believe I'm one of those fuckers who goes and watches things in other languages. And I think that the Italian voice actress for that character it's either Italian or French. I can't remember. Maybe German, actually.
Okay.
One of those other foreign languages that is not English or Japanese. The person who is playing Sherry in this game just so happens to be the person who played Sherry in RE6 in the same language. So it's Sherry. It's not Claire. It's not Ashley.
It's not
although
Hunnigan.
I think Ashley would be really cool.
I think Sherry being here is awesome because she was a part of Raccoon City. She's also wearing gloves in the latest trailer, so we have an idea that she's also infected, but I don't want to jump ahead too much, but just to state it while we're talking about her.
Say RHCCC 3 times really fast. Go ahead.
RHCCC, RHCCC, RHCCC.
There you go, chat. Never forget it. That means Rhodes Hill Chronic Care Center, and that's how we'll be calling it from now on.
Rhodes Hill Chronic Care Center.
Yep.
They showed the Porsche in this trailer.
Oh,
they
fuck
showed
Porsche.
They showed the watch. They showed him driving into Raccoon City, driving past the Welcome to Raccoon City sign, which is cool.
Yep.
We obviously saw more shots of that in the last trailer with the gas station and his Jeep still being there. It's
trailer 4 he's referencing.
Yes, and I don't know, man. I think. How did you feel when this trailer came out? Did you feel like the marketing was saved a little bit from this?
I think that the marketing of the actual game itself has been pretty elite all the way through. It's the marketing of things outside the game that has been really piss poor, which is the demo,
right?
The no collector's edition, no real communication about why there's no demo. That kind of stuff. Whereas in traditional Resident Evil, they've always been pretty good at both. That's where I was at. But when I first saw Leon, when I first found out a new character and a retro character were both going to be put in the same game, and it was going to be a shared spotlight, I breathed a sigh of relief because I didn't want another new character. They already tried that with Ethan, and it didn't land with me. So now that being said, it didn't need to be Leon. I think I would have been excited no matter who it was. Maybe not Chris, because Chris just had 2 cameos again. So, it would have been, I'd be okay if this was Jill instead of Leon. I'd be okay if this was Claire instead of Leon. But Leon is really the only person here that makes sense when you consider now that he's infected and when you consider the fact he works for the DSO. So he would be here.
He would be
That
here.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Not that Chris couldn't be here. We did see in the 4th trailer what looked to be the Hound Wolf Squad or Wolfhound Squad.
Yeah.
I color matched them. They are them. That's who they are. I'll be okay with being wrong at this point if they're not, but they are here in this game.
And how that scene unfolds, we don't know.
We don't know. Is it going to be a flashback? Is it going to be them coming to save Leon?
It almost looked like a
Grace.
flashback by how it was framed.
It had the white aura.
Yeah, and that could have just been because it was flashing through what Victor Gideon was talking about to Leon about, right?
It could have been that, or it could have been the perspective of their goggles.
Yeah,
Make
a visor,
like an aura, a visor aura. So, will Chris send them to save them? Will Chris go bail Leon out? We don't know.
Yeah.
Is Chris there? We don't know.
We
Maybe
don't
that's
know.
Leon. Maybe that's Chris's perspective.
Yeah.
But we do know that there are in the game. They're
But
at
if
least
we play that
mentioned.
section, that'd
We
be
might play the
interesting.
section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. You know.
We might.
I think that having more characters from our past in this game makes it feel more like a mainline Resident Evil game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Not that 7 and 8, obviously they did what they did, and people like them, and I still like 7, over 8 a little bit, but I just think that like seeing these characters in this game kind of makes it feel like home again a little bit, where it just kind of feels like you kind of miss seeing multiple characters that you know and love in a mainline Resident Evil game. It really has been a long time since RE6. I mean, it's been a long time. You know what I mean? So I think, and the Chris stuff in 7 or 8, depending on how much you like Chris or how much you like him in these recent games, if you're listening or watching, you might say, oh, I really like Chris in this section or that section. But for me, Chris being one of my favorite characters, it really didn't do it for me in 7 and 8. And so if they at least brought him in along with Leon, but do it tastefully. Don't make you don't got to make this Chris's game at the last fourth of the game, but bringing him in and just making him act and feel like Chris would just be a win for me. If I'm not getting a Jill in this game, who's my favorite character, you know what I mean? You're getting your favorite character, Leon.
Haven't you heard already? Ant? They have forgotten completely about Jill, and they'll never use her again. That's what the community says. They're never. Jill's never coming back. She's just doesn't age.
Yeah.
Why would they bring her back?
Yeah, they just used her in the CGI film, but we're gonna forget that happened.
Yeah, no, she'll come back. She'll be back.
Yeah.
People are just impatient. They want to see it.
Look, I wanted this game to be Joe and Leon as much as the next guy.
I did too.
As far as like that would have been an awesome pairing. It would have been the best of both worlds. John's favorite character, my favorite character. That would have been fucking awesome.
Probably, arguably, the franchise's favorite male and female leads.
Yeah.
As well.
Supposed to be an open world game, then it was supposed to be a Leon only game, and now it's a Leon and Grace game.
And that open world game was supposed to have everybody, by the way. There's new leaks coming out about that open world game, and that you were even going to be able to play as Sheva and Ada. Like, that was going to have everybody. It was going to be like the Avengers. I'm glad they didn't do that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that it took all this crap to get to this point. All the scrapping, all the stuff that they started. Yeah, 6 squared. Yeah, so they really backpedaled on that, and they did the right thing, I think. And that trailer, we finally got the Leon quips. We see the chainsaw doctor.
I think I want a second opinion.
Now we understand he's making a little joke because he is there to be seen about his condition and second opinion. And by this trailer, people were pausing, seeing the marks on his neck. Capcom did not remove them. If they really cared that much to hide it, they would have removed it. So they kind of kept it. It was in front of us the whole time. People like me and John and you guys saw us break that stuff down, but some people might have missed it until this last trailer, which was the 4th trailer. And that was at the State of Play this past week, and the internet's been again all over this because it was another trailer that showed a lot more.
But really nothing past the 3-hour mark.
No.
Besides a couple flashes.
Still in the Chronic Care Center.
Yeah, mostly.
Obviously we see RC at the end, but I mean, this is like they really just kind of came out with it in this one, and they just said, listen, we're running out of time, Leon,
Sherry.
Sherry says it to him and he takes off the glove, and we see that it's spreading to his hand.
And some people are saying that line is Stephanie, it's Claire, but they're forgetting the fact that not only in the Japanese version is the radio filter on that line. In the English, it's not.
No.
In the English, it's just she says it, like it's like her saying it. But in the Japanese trailer, it's the same voice that says the stuff earlier, and there's a radio filter on it. It's not Claire. I'm pretty confident that it's just Sherry without the radio filter. They just forgot to put the
filter over it. Yeah, no, I think it makes sense, and Sherry would be involved in this, as far as being, infected as well.
I know, in a large degree, Raccoon City's downfall is literally her dad's fault, her dad and mom's fault.
It's true.
I mean, it's also Marcus's fault if we're,
tracing it back all the way. Yeah.
But Wesker and Birkin,
they all played a hand in.
They're the two ones that really caused it all.
Yeah.
They took out Marcus. They did.
They did it for the sake of research.
They could have not killed Marcus. Marcus could have did this all safely, and the U.S. government could have used bioweapons and just took over the world. You never know what would have happened if they didn't assassinate him, you know?
That's true. Yeah, no, that's a good point. If Ada's in this game, she would also be infected.
Yeah.
You know, if there's
Potentially, yeah.
other RE characters that, come back, Jill as well. Obviously, Chris was still around. He wasn't in the city when everything was going fuck up, but he was there and then left.
Exactly.
So he was technically still in the city. Claire as well. And then of course, you still have your Barry. You still have, Rebecca. You still have these people that were, either on the outskirts or in the city. So where does that Raccoon City syndrome kind of end and stop for certain people, start and stop, so to speak? A lot of questions that go into that. And we saw a lot from the gameplay, throughout the trailers, between December and then it was middle of January was when we got a lot of gameplay. I'm kind of backpedaling a little bit, but I want to just kind of fill this in. The gameplay specifically showed, cutscenes when Grace meets Leon for the first time. He, collapsed the stalker enemy for that time being. We obviously saw the Chunk character. We saw the different dynamics between Grace and Leon's gameplay as far as, the slower pace, the more action, melee-esque, stuff. The upgrading stuff for Grace, finding, coins and stuff like that for the parlor, having, the finding weapons and stuff like that, or the Leon and Grace dynamic of this game, which is like, if you leave enemies for Leon, he'll take them out a lot easier, or vice versa, or you can open pathways and stuff like that. So it's very much like a Code Veronica system in a way. Not A-B, but it's a Code Veronica system that you can kind of trade off stuff, leave stuff behind, and you come pick it up as you go through. And so that was kind of like plunked down in the middle of the marketing, but it was given to just press people, very important people. So we were able to, break that down and look at everything and just see those gameplay differences. How does this really get into the origins of Resident Evil and saying, hey, this thing was here all along. This Raccoon City syndrome is here all along. This, whatever this Elpis is, and it was in the Raccoon City files that were redacted, right? But it was left unredacted.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the last full, like, story-ish trailer that we get before release. So, like, what do you think as far as, like, how far they go with this Raccoon City syndrome? Are we going to hear from other survivors in this game that are also infected that we might not see? Like, it has to trickle down to other people that we're not seeing. Some people think the dead survivors are main survivors that we haven't seen.
Yeah, some people think Claire's already dead, Jill's already dead.
Like the 5 or 6 bodies, 6 bodies, all dead from the same thing.
Some people are saying, like, Chris can't die because he's at the end of the DLC with Rose. But
that's true.
It's because they're going to get cured. You never know. Chris could have it. Maybe Chris does have it.
Maybe he helps
doesn't.
administer a vaccine or something.
Maybe it develops separately. Like, maybe it's not as developed as his.
Do you think they're going to go very deep with that, though, or do you think they might just focus on Sherry, Leon?
I think it's going to be Sherry, Leon, and maybe one other character. Maybe Victor even. Victor might be suffering from it.
I think so. I think that's why I think he's so hell-bent on getting Grace.
Yeah.
Because he needs to... that she's the key to all of this with her blood or whatever he's doing, whether Daylight's going to stay in the story or not.
Mm-hmm.
But so you think they're just going to keep it kind of contained to just these survivors, maybe another person. Ada is the one that I think of because where there's Leon, there's Ada typically, usually.
Yeah.
And so I feel like Ada could be someone that like comes along. And my theory still is that she's going to be the Luis of this game where she's like, hey, Leon, take this. You're not looking too hot. Take this. Yeah. And it suppresses your time. You're
Could
up against the clock.
Could be.
That's just a theory.
Yeah.
But I think maybe that would be the other survivor, Raccoon City survivor that comes in that we might also see that is infected in this game. Because where else would Ada go? She found out this was happening to her, and she knows Leon's got to be somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. She could show up, but that's all speculating. But yeah, we see a lot more of Raccoon City in this. We actually see the further away shot. You believe it's the street that's connected to the orphanage, I believe is what you said?
It's behind. It looks like it could be behind the street that connects to the orphanage.
Yeah.
But the problem is we've seen so much of Raccoon City, and they could have added things to this. Like, a lot of people were saying that it's where Leon arrives and the tankard hits them. Why do you bite me? Guy hits them. You could see kind of like the railroad track the suspended
okay.
railroad.
Yeah.
But you don't see any of the extra details that are on there, and the street looks like a lot less cluttered, so we don't really know. It could put it wherever they want.
Yeah, they really can, and the shots of Raccoon City just gave me chills in this. You know, like
They look great.
They look great, man. And the fact that it's just like how much we get to explore is yet to be seen. But I think it's really cool that, you know, we just see that shot of him entering, and it's just almost like, holy shit. Like, he hesitates when he's about to open the door, and you could see at that point his infection seems to be getting worse.
Yeah.
And so we can only assume this is later in the game, post Chronic Care Center. And we're just going to see what happens. I love the shot of the gas station.
Yeah.
I love the skeleton. You know, I love all this shit. The fog coming in. It's such a crazy full circle moment. And I think that's how this game is going to feel when we're playing it. It's like, holy shit, we're here. You know, we made it 30 years later, 30 years of laughter, friendships, memories, playing this franchise. I mean, it's a real like full circle moment, and we're sitting here going back to Raccoon City, a place that we thought we would never go back to in the main game, other than like a flashback or a spinoff or a game that, you know, takes place in whatever, like, you know, Operation Raccoon City and what have you, or your reverse. We were running around maps and shit from Raccoon City. Like, we never really were going to. We never thought up until this point that we were going to get an RE game that goes back to it, that had the balls to go back to it, because you have to have balls to go back and explain all this shit. That's for sure. You got to explain a lot of shit. Capcom's got a lot of explaining to do with all this story connection between Raccoon City Syndrome, Elpis, what was in the files, how Victor Gideon was connected to the T-Virus research, because we do know from this trailer he was a T-Virus researcher specifically. And one of the biggest things we also pulled from this is Emily, a brand new character they sprung on us.
We had seen her in previous trailers. We just didn't know her name, or we didn't know what she looked like face-wise.
Everyone's gone.
But we've heard her. We've seen her. Like, she had the thing. Grace is like, what
right,
the
yeah,
fuck?
like over the shoulder.
You see her over the shoulder, and I said it looks like a child's like sweater or whatever. But then we get to see her for the first time, and they also reveal the little kids with the red eyes who are wearing the same outfits.
They did. You mentioned the Hound Wolf Squad, but in that same shot where it's flashing, we see these kids with the red eyes, and it's like, what the fuck is that, bro? What is that?
I don't know.
And is she one of the last like leftover kids, where the other kids experiments and she's the one that is either going to help with this Elpis thing? We see that she's contained inside of like some kind of, you know, prison, because we see Grace looking through the window and she's like on a bed or whatever. And so it looks like a you know, I guess an insane asylum, or like one of those crazy rooms.
Yeah,
almost.
like
it looks kind of
isolation ward.
Yeah. Isolation ward.
Which is a place.
It's a place in the care center.
In the care center. So it kind of looks like maybe it'll be down the stairs. You'll like turn in an isolation ward and go downstairs or something.
So
or maybe at the end of where the cells were.
Yeah, no, it's possible, right? Yeah, because we see a jail cell or cells in the last trailer, right? So yeah, I think Emily is a cool looking character. She appears to be blind. You know, I don't know how she ties into like the infection status. Is she infected? What did they experiment on her with? We're not sure. We're going to find out her story, definitely. But yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that we got from a lot of these last trailers was just more reassurance of like the dynamics between the gameplay and what we're going to be seeing. You know, the return of the Crimson Head enemies being blister heads this time, you know, if you don't take their blood. The difference between, you know, how Grace manages her game and how Leon manages his side of the game. Like, we've really been seeing more kind of reassurance gameplay-wise, and now they're kind of sprinkling in all this other story stuff on top of it. And that's fine, because, again, like, we just wanted to see more of a reassurance that they weren't going to get too overzealous and overexcited, like how they did with RE6, and put so much into this game that you can't follow it, or if you're playing Grace, you wish you were Leon, or vice versa. So we really wanted to see how that was going to be, because even after one of the last few podcasts that we did post the press gameplay, or just before the press gameplay, we talked about the other trailer, and we would just said, listen, like, you know, we had some concerns, just hoping that they figure it out. And now that we see more gameplay of Leon, more gameplay of Grace, we see all these trailers, it cuts to the stuff that we like to see. A lot of gore, a lot of blood and guts, a lot of you know, bodies exploding, blister heads spawning, Another big bloated zombie that we see in the last trailer, Leon sniping with a sniper rifle, which looks cool. Down helicopter crashes, stuff like that in the back of the care center, which it looks like. Leon actually helping Grace as well, like lifting her up, almost like Ashley, letting her go to certain paths, protecting her, sniping for her. So I think the Leon and Grace dynamic here is going to be really cool, and I'm curious how these characters intersect and who meets with who. When do they split up? Who do they talk to? There's a lot of questions that go into how that plays out. So I think there's a lot of different things that people will enjoy from both aspects of the game, whether you're playing as Leon or Grace, or if you prefer the slower burn Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 7 that Grace is supposed to deliver on, and then your RE4 remake-esque style that Leon is going to, deliver on. So I think this game, allegedly, from what we're hearing, is around 18 hours. We're not sure.
18 hours is a slower playthrough, like when you're trying to do everything. And I think I read something about one of the reviewers was saying his first playthrough, he didn't bother trying to do everything, and he beat the game in like 13 hours. So I would say 12 to 20 is probably a safe window for most gamers.
Yeah.
For sure. Which it would put it as long as RE4.
Yeah, which we would not complain about.
No,
We
that's
do
a
enjoy
perfect
that.
length for a survival horror game.
So I think the balance concerns, once we've seen a lot of these gameplay bits and, looking everything over and kind of seeing how, we really appreciate what they're doing to try to give us that kind of reassurance, it does look good. It looks like the balance will be there. Obviously, we won't know until we play it. But like I said, you're going back to Raccoon City after such a long time. You're bringing in a new character that's connected to, someone that we know from the past, from Outbreak. It looks like there's variety in the gameplay. There's variety in the enemies. Zombies are back. Zombies have, wider range of personalities, over 100 personalities and counting in this game with the zombies. So they all kind of resemble, their past life. And, we have the singstress zombie as well, who sings and screams in Grace's ear, So it's just good to see the zombies come back in a way that feels refreshing. I think the biggest thing is because there is a sense of like comedy, kind of thrown in there with how they fumble around into each other and they do all this stuff. I think that's pretty cool.
Ganados are zombies. By definition, a zombie is something that, has no control over itself or is a bewitched or undead creature. There's a lot of different ways you could do zombies. Ganados are zombies evolved. They're intelligent zombies. Same thing with the Mangini, same thing with the Joavo. What Anthony's talking about is Romero zombies, like RE1 zombies,
Right.
RE2 zombies.
I should have prefaced that better.
Yeah, and I
guess.
just wanted to throw that out there because me and him know that we talk about this all the time. It's not like he doesn't know that. It's just that when we say zombie, we're talking RE1, 2, 3 zombie.
Yeah, the stuff you got in the original game.
Code Veronica zombie. And I would even argue that Resident Evil 6 didn't even really go back to those. They were kind of a little different. The undead zombies will definitely get cut from the remake because if you remember, in all of the remakes they've had so far, they have not done naked zombies and they haven't done, well, technically the pale heads are naked, but they haven't done naked zombies. And I was actually talking to Dustin about this the other day. Because Resident Evil is about biological weapons, they've abandoned the idea of raising the dead. That's why the graveyard got cut. That's why, like, in Resident Evil 3, the T-Virus is bringing back bodies from how long ago? No. That's not how that works. The bodies are gone by that point. So it feels like in this reimagining, this remake era, they're trying to get away from the undead and more into these zombies are biological weapons. That's why you get Brad saying sorry. It's that they're different. They're trying to be unique. And I think that they've done it in such a nice and subtle way that most fans didn't even realize that the Resident Evil zombies are unique. They're unique. They're not just Romero zombies. However, with that being said, the RE9 zombies do feel like Romero zombies because they've got like personalities and they've been reported to be kind of funny and kind of laughy. Yeah, I like the Resident Evil zombies a lot because they're biological weapons. That's why in Vendetta, you get zombies that can eat your face off and then a little dust floats down and they're like, I'm cured. Oops, sorry, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Or, sorry, Amy, my sister, I just ate you.
Yeah.
Like, they can literally eat somebody and then be cured from the A virus, right? Just keep that in mind. Zombies in Resident Evil are a little different than literal, like, Dungeons and Dragons zombies or an RPG zombie or a Romero zombie. They're not literally coming out of the ground. And if you noticed, Code Veronica has a scene where they're coming out of the ground. I bet you that gets cut. They're removing that aspect of their biological weapon from
No, it's a good point.
the series, and it's something. And the only reason I bring that up is because after me and Dustin had talked about this, I love it. I love that they're trying to do something unique.
Yeah.
That being said, it does suck that it's seemingly, the Gravedigger got collateral damage with that. It also, which just doesn't make any sense. They still could have used it somewhere else. And it does kind of suck that some of those original scenes are getting tampered with. But I'll be interested to see. It's like they're dead, but are they dead? Well, yeah, as long as they have a brain and a spinal cord, they can temporarily bring them back to life with the virus. It's almost like the virus is hijacking the soul of the body, right? That's why if you shoot them in the head, they die for good, because if they can't hijack the brain, there's nothing there. You get embalmed when you get buried. There's no brain. You know what I mean? That's why they're getting rid of that stuff in the remakes. And I bet you they carry that forward. And then obviously the parasites are a whole different. We're not going to get into that in this video, but
Yeah.
So I just wanted to bring that up. It's something recent. I know that sounds really like a tangent, but it's something that recently I was thinking about, and then I really got behind that idea, and I was like, yes, we should talk about this more, because they are unique. They really are unique in the sense that, yes, they're flesh eating, yes, they're decaying and stuff like all zombies, but I've never seen media really do zombies like Resident Evil in this way.
Yeah, they're
The new
trying
way.
something different, and at least, like, this feels refreshing for RE9 in many ways.
Mm.
So, it feels refreshing. I'm happy to see,
What did you say? It feels like home.
Yeah, well, mostly for, between all of the characters.
Yeah.
Did
And a
make it
return to
feel like home.
zombies. And a return to
zombies.
Raccoon City. It feels
Yeah.
like home.
Yeah, so a lot of those aspects in there are, I guess essential for making this game kind of stand out as in the main line in recent years. So Resident Evil 9 is right around the corner. We always talk about our wish list and things we want to see. And there's been all the trailers out at this point. There's been a lot of time to discuss it. There's been a lot of time to make content on it. So some things that we put together for like a wish list of things we want to see in Resident Evil 9 Requiem. And there's a lot of things that, fans have been asking for that, we either disagree with or agree with.
Mm-hmm.
Many things that, when you're thinking of what you wish to be in a Resident Evil game, sometimes you got to kind of reel yourself back in, because there's a lot of things you could, hope for that may never come true.
Mm-hmm.
Some might seem a little bit more far-fetched. So one of the things that I think is top priority for me for a wish list is I want them to, it's an obvious one, but I think I want them to properly figure out what this whole thing is with Raccoon City, with the incident, with the connections, things that were there from the beginning. I just want this to feel complete and fulfilling when we see the ending of this story and how it wraps up this 1998 to 2026, 27, whatever year this takes place. We're assuming 26. Just make it feel right. Make it feel not forced. Don't make it feel lazy. I want to see that full circle moment. We've been talking about full circle moments in this discussion. Full circle. It needs to feel complete. It needs to be not like Miranda and Spencer met on a boat and it's in a file and that's it, John. Like, I want this to be a completion to this Raccoon City story if they're wrapping it up. So that's like top one on my wish list of like, you must do this, because I feel like it's going to be a detriment to how this game is written if they just kind of like shoehorn something in and it's just in a file again. Like, don't make it just a file. Don't just make me read it. I like files. Show files for context and little things, but don't make it the only thing that we get for this closure of Raccoon City. I don't want it to be in a deluxe edition file. I don't want it to be. I want it to be in the game. Yeah, that's my number one wish list.
Sports.
Yes,
it better be in the fucking game.
So what is one thing on your wish list?
So my number one wish list for me is just, even though I'm okay with it if it happens in a way that's interesting, or if it happens in a way that's done correctly, because they're not the people who created the character, I don't think they're equipped enough to handle it. Don't let Leon die. I wouldn't kill Leon. If Leon's going to go out, it has to be on vacation and retirement. My favorite headcanon for how Leon should go out is he just retires from the field. Maybe this RCS leaves him in a crippled state. They do cure it or halt it, and he gets a sick-ass cane, a hunched posture, and becomes the head of the DSO and is the one sending agents out from now on. He becomes the national security advisor.
You wouldn't want to see him go on the front lines.
I don't think he should die. I don't think you get anything out of that contextually or story-wise for Leon or for anything else. I think it tells a better story if you are going to take Leon out of the story, that he realizes that his fight and his time to fight isn't over, but it's changing. And the new guard's taking over. Let Leon train the next generation. Let Leon be ahead of the next generation. I think killing any of the characters, even though I always joke about killing Chris, I don't think that any of the main characters from Raccoon City should die. They have a mission and they should see it through. And at one point, Chris and Jill and Claire and Leon, they're all going to realize they're too old to do it. Now, Jill has slower aging. Sherry has slower aging. We know this. We know that. There's ways to incorporate them forever. You could make them young somehow. You could do a lot of different things. There's a lot of things in the biochemistry that they could do.
Yeah.
Right? You could fucking this game could end with Leon coming out as a newborn baby. There's a lot of fucking things that they can do, right?
Yeah.
Like, they could do anything. It's all bioweapons and genetics, and I just think that killing Leon's the wrong decision. There are more mature and better messages in your fictitious story to tell by just letting him ride off into the sunset.
I couldn't say it any better. I definitely think that we line up similar on this wish list, so to speak, because I don't want to see him die either. I don't think it's time.
And it better be good if he dies. Like,
yeah,
it
if
better,
they do it, it's got to be fucking seal-proof.
Like, if they do multiple endings even, and his death in the ending where he dies, because I just got done on stream playing RE7. That was the last game of the Legacy before we record this. And I never had picked Zoe before, and I picked Zoe, and I killed Mia, and Mia wasn't at the ending, and I was
picking
like, wait a
Zoe
second.
every time, especially after Village.
I was like, wait a second, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean? So all I had to do was pick Zoe, and Village wouldn't have happened? That's all I had to do?
Yeah.
Well, I hated it still. Even though I hate Mia, I hate multiple endings. It deteriorates my opinion of a game when it has multiple endings that are
like that. Like you said, the one
very
or
much
the other.
different. When they're black and white. When it's up for speculation or if it's whatever.
Some survivors leave in this ending, some survivors
Exactly.
Like, there's some things like that has happened.
Dark Souls
in
has
RE.
great multiple endings because Dark Souls is all about the journey and every game is self-contained. You're not going to Dark Souls 2 and you're dealing with what Dark Souls 1 dealt with. It's a different reiteration of the similar story.
Because it feels pointless when you do multiple endings and the next game comes out and says, oh yeah, that one ending, that's canon. And it's like,
And
well,
Resident
then what's
Evil,
the point of the multiple endings anymore? Because now when you go back and play those games, you're going to know what the ending is anyway. Like the canon ending, the ending they kept.
And the way they did it in RE7, and even I'll go back and even, not to throw shade at RE3 because I still love RE3, but even the original Resident Evil 3 has multiple endings.
It does.
Resident Evil 1 has multiple endings, and I never shut the fuck up about Resident Evil 1 ending.
Right.
They need to get all in the helicopter. Where's the helicopter,
I know,
Anthony?
I know.
And
I get it.
pisses me off. They had a chance to fix it in the remake. I understand wanting to keep it faithful. If they remake that fucking game again and they don't all get on the helicopter, I'm going to go crazy.
Because they need to, because they all escape in canon, and we don't have an ending where they all escape. At least with RE3 Original, you can change the ending, but whether Nikolai leaves or not, or Barry picks you up, the ending is the same. Raccoon gets obliterated.
Barry picking you up has nothing to do with the story.
No.
Nikolai leaving is a problem, but
It is.
Nikolai getting killed by Nemesis or getting killed by Jill makes no difference.
No.
That's why they're less offensive. Those are better multiple endings.
Yes.
You get a little pick. And that's a stem product from the live selection.
The live selection.
They
yeah.
wanted to make you feel like your choices matter, even though only one choice matters. But they wanted to make you think.
Push him or jump off, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, you're going to push him or you're going to jump off.
Yeah.
I just hate multiple endings. I rather have one ending. And the RE7 ending was lazy. Mia's just not there, and then Ethan gives some fucking monologue I didn't listen to because I was talking to the chat, and I was just like, wait, did I just kill Mia? Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Well, I just went. So you're telling me in the bad ending, the true bad ending is not that Mia died. It's that Ethan, 3 years after his wife fucking abandoned him and left him after lying to him, by the way, I also found out he already suspected that bitch was lying. Sorry, Mia. Sorry, RE7 fans. I like RE7 too. Don't get me wrong. It's a great game. But he suspected she was lying. She says, Ethan, you were right. I was lying to you. So what you're saying is the bad ending is that he gets to the Baker farm, fucking gets killed 30 minutes into his journey there,
Becomes
all
molded.
for a woman that he kills. See, what you're basically saying is that the true bad ending of Village, the true bad ending of 7 is that Ethan even fucking picked up the phone, called his friend, and said, "Yo, dude, she's alive. I'm going to get her." The bad ending is he should have disconnected his fucking phone service and just went about his life. Sorry, that's a tangent, but I just hate multiple endings.
So if Leon is in this like ultimatum thing, you're not going to be a fan of that because that's just going to be.
I just think why do it?
Yeah.
Why do it? Because you're going to piss somebody off. You're either. What if a player? Okay, so let me tell you this. What if a player? This is how it could go well. If a player is playing this game and Leon's their favorite character, and they make a decision by accident without realizing it, and he dies at the end. Wouldn't you say that ruins their first experience?
Yeah, it could.
Then they find out they can save him and redeemed. Oh, I can actually save him this time? Let me go back and do it. What about the casuals who don't replay games? One of my best friends, Tim, doesn't like to replay games. He plays them once and he moves on.
A lot of people do that.
You know how he's going to feel if he... Shout out to Tim, by the way. Teetering Peaks. Do you know... Or Testicle Peaks, according to the chat. Do you know how he's going to feel if he beats this game, gets the bad ending, and then goes, I have to replay the whole fucking game to save Leon?
Right.
It's a bad idea. Don't do it.
So
they're already locked in.
Right.
So, like, the game's locked in. Like,
Yeah.
if they have that in there, it's in there. But, like...
So your number one is just don't kill Leon.
I don't think
essentially.
Leon deserves to die. As much as I love to make fun... I don't even think Ethan should have died. Why introduce new characters just to kill them off? Ethan's one of only 2 characters in the entire franchise that gets to a second game. And those 2 characters that get to their second game don't live through it. What I'm saying is most characters who die in Resident Evil die in their first game. The only 2 that get to their second game and die are Ethan and Brad. Which I guess you could argue, is Ethan really dead? He's in the Rose DLC. He's kind of in the Mute of My Seat. Yeah, I guess I like what they did with Ethan at the end. I like how he's still around for Rose.
Yeah, and Rose is that like extension of him literally because she's his kid, but now she has this ultimate power that is even surpasses Ethan. So it's like just kind of like that extension. So yeah, I think top priority is just have a return of some classic BOWs when we get to Raccoon City. Yeah. I just want to see, it could be a liquor mutated, it could be another BOW that we don't know that's been, taken care of or catered to underneath some Raccoon City part that we don't know about. I just want to see some kind of classic BOWs come back.
Let me ask you this, which we're going to get into in the predictions, but let me ask you this while you're on this topic. What would you want to see? How would you feel if they brought like a tyrant back, like a Mr. X back?
I would love it. I would love any tyrant, any Mr. X, any original tyrant, thing that we haven't seen before. Maybe something new, something old, like a combination of
like
something.
A newer tyrant, Mr. X.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. Like I just want, like if we're going back to Raccoon City, my top thing I would love to see on top of just exploring what it looks like now is just to see a callback enemy that is just like Leon's like, oh my god, like I can't fucking believe I'm dealing with this shit, like that kind of thing. I would love that. So that for me is up there.
So what?
It'd be a missed opportunity.
Here, I can't do this without asking you this, since you're an RE3 person. But what if Nemesis comes back?
Unless Jill was there, I don't want to see Nemesis come back. I'm sorry, but it just wouldn't make sense. You gotta have. If you're going to bring someone back for Leon, it's got to be Mr. X, right? I feel like Nemesis coming back and Leon's there, it would be cool, and I would probably still mark out, but where's Jill? You know what I mean?
So, at this point, Death Island's already happened, so
yeah,
she would be... that's another question. Where's Jill in the Hound Wolf squad?
Yeah.
Why is she not with him?
She's not part of the BSAA at all.
What happened
up
to
until
her?
this point.
And I think that Nakanishi wants to tell that story in Rev 3.
Like, she came back on the BSAA in Death Island, but we haven't seen her involved in, like you said, in the game's BSAA current lore.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So, because it's like that was her coming back on the field, right? In combat for so long after rehabilitation and the letter we read in Rev 2 about her recovering and stuff. Then we finally see her in Death Island in canon, canonical order, not a remake, mainline timeline. And we haven't seen her with any Hound Wolf squad or anything else. So, yeah, I don't know. Obviously, Jill's up there on my wish list, too, as a little extra to put in there for you guys. I'd love to see Jill. Nemesis, though, if Jill's not there, I don't know if it's going to feel as impactful. But I would still think it's cool. It's going to look like RE3 Remake Nemi or more fucked up. I don't know. But, like, I would rather see another, like, Super Tyrant or another Mr. X baseline form again or something, or just something new, but it has those old vibes, or you add a new big BOW and then you add your liquors or enhanced liquor or something in there. Crows.
Yeah,
spiders,
and would this be the
something.
first time that if they bring a hunter back, would it be the first time Leon's ever fought a hunter? I don't think Leon's ever fought a hunter on screen, right?
No.
But no, I don't think he's ever fought hunters.
No, I don't
even in the
think so.
spin-offs.
No, I don't
No,
think so.
I don't think so. So
Not in animated films at all?
No. They're only exclusively have only used liquors
For
and
Leon.
Mr. X in the animated films. Zombies, liquors, and Mr. X.
That's been their favorite.
They've showed nothing else. Literally nothing else. Even in Death Island, it was zombies and aqua liquors.
Yeah.
They have done nothing else.
No, that's a good point.
Oh, well.
Huh? Dogs.
Yeah, Cerberus are in Cerberus are in Vendetta, and of course there's the unique tyrants, like the Glen Arias tyrant, the Dylan, I almost said Dylan Schmelzinger. Shout out to him. He's been a long-time viewer.
Yeah.
The Dylan Schmelzinger tyrant, we'll call him that.
Yeah, I mean, they've done a lot of experimentation within the animated films, so I feel like if they just kind of bring that in and tie it back to RC, so that would be my last thing on my wish list. What about you?
I think the last thing on my wish list, which our wish lists are a little longer than this, but we're just trying to keep it reasonable.
Yeah.
The last thing on my wish list would be not that surprising. I go back all the time and talk about this. I would love to get confirmation that Wesker was cloned or something. Whether he's alive, crawled out of the fucking volcano looking like Anakin in episode 3. No legs, no arms. Like,
Oh, that's a good one.
like
That's
I
definitely
would
up there for
love
me,
to
too.
see Wesker come back in some capacity, whether it's a clone, whether it's Alex, like his sister.
Yeah, because we haven't seen her post Rev 2.
We need a
Or
Wesker.
Natalia.
We need a Wesker. It needs to be Wesker. Wesker needs to come back.
The fate needs to be changed, you think?
If I had, and you can change it with an RE5 remake ending that fills in the gap before RE9. They've already changed so much. You know, they can
They
change.
changed so much with Raccoon
Just
City.
have him crawl out of a fucking... I'm serious. Have him come out like Anakin, dude.
Well,
Fucking...
and that's even if they keep the volcano.
If they even keep
in a
the
remake,
volcano.
right?
Yeah,
'Cause
which
if-
I feel like you have to at least a degree. But maybe like you fight above it, like we talked about before, where like you fight on the plane and then he falls into the volcano.
If they want to make it more realistic to where like you couldn't actually fight in a volcano without
my God, you imagine
literally
you fight
bursting into flames.
You fight Wesker, the entire Wesker final fight is timed because it's Sheva and Chris and Wesker in parachutes falling, and you're just like
It's all
beating
in
each other's
midair,
ass.
and then they just add more QuickTime events, and it pisses everyone off.
Yeah.
Hilarious. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is up there on mine too. As far as like, I think me and you have similar things on our list that we would want to see as like lifelong fans. I think a Wesker fate change or a Wesker. Would you settle for a mention, or is that not good enough? Do you want to actually see something?
I feel like I would settle for like if Leon or Grace finds a file or like something on a report that says as a revelation, this was sent, or like I could see like Leon finding a document on a laptop and it's like sent by Albert Wesker, and then he sees the date and it was like a month ago. Just a confirmation that that little motherfucker is out there somewhere, or his clone's running around, or his child is not Jake, but his real child, his real son, the one that looks, talks, and acts like him and shares his dream, or another Wesker child, another sibling. It was just a lot. He was just the best villain.
It was.
He wasn't always great. I'm not going to pretend Wesker was perfectly written or wasn't a Saturday night cartoon villain sometimes. But with this new RE engine, they really had a chance to fix that. And all of the Wesker games are just conveniently not remade. So...
And he was great in RE4.
He was great in RE4, yeah. He was. Yeah, he even had a couple extra scenes.
Yeah,
although they didn't put him in the chair.
Yeah, I know they didn't. Oh.
Yeah. But yes,
There you are.
I really think like you remake 2 and 4 and 3 for the Raccoon City ending. Now you remake 1, 0, and 5 to get the RE5, to get the Wesker story, and Code Veronica, I mean, to get 5. And then you go right into 10, which maybe has Wesker in it. So that would be my wish list, would be my 2 top things, Wesker in some way. I think I like Wesker over Spencer a little bit, but I would take Spencer too.
Okay.
It would also be the first time we ever see Wesker and Leon face to face, besides like Wesker watching him.
Yeah.
So that would be cool. And then I guess as a little bonus wish list, just as a little extra bonus thing, I would really like to see a Mercenaries or a raid mode.
Yeah. Yeah, Mercenaries, I think, needs to be in it.
Yeah, some type of mini game that extends it and gives us more characters and unlockables and more costumes.
Right. We know they're going to, inevitably, Capcom likes to do story DLC, but I would love to see a Mercenaries mini game in there as well. I think that's another great little thing little cherry on top of the wish list.
Do you think Leon dies in RE9? Boop this finger if you don't. Exactly.
He said no.
He has spoken.
Mugen has played the game already.
Yes, Mugen got an early copy, and he told us to piss off. So, Anthony,
Yes.
I have prepared a list of questions for us.
We're doing rapid fire.
A rapid fire yes or no answer. You are allowed a comment. We're both going to answer these. You are allowed a comment after your yes or no. So you could say like, do you like grilled cheese? And you'll say, yes, but only if I have tomato soup with it. You're allowed to comment, but it's got to be simple. And
Okay.
for the record, I don't like tomato soup. I like grilled cheese, though.
It's fair.
I like grilled cheese, especially with pepperoni on it. Oh, that's fucking good shit. All right. Also, if you make grilled cheese with only one kind of cheese, you're a special person in the comments section. I always mix grilled cheeses. You always got to do 2. Provolone American, mozzarella American, American pepper jack. I'll even eat pepper jack cheese on a grilled cheese, but not on a regular sandwich. Anyway, my grilled cheese connoisseurs in the chat, and those of you who eat them with pickles are nasty. Let's get to the questions.
Okay.
So simple, yes or no. Someone's going to be like, oh my God, John targeted me in the chat. I eat pickles with all my grilled cheese every week.
Yes, he did.
My mom brings it to me in the basement. Will Spencer return?
Yes. Yes, I think so.
I'm going to say no.
Okay. I think he'll return, but not in the way that people think that I want him to walk out and say, I'm here. I think his body might be preserved somewhere, or he might be experimented on or turned into a monster. I think that might be a return.
Yeah. Will Wesker return? I'm going to say yes.
I'm going to say no.
Okay. I'm going to say yes with the caveat that a clone would count, but a child would not.
Okay.
So like a sibling or child would not. But I think he will return in some way, shape, or form. Will William Birkin return?
No, but there might be a monster like him.
Okay, so G-Virus might return.
G-Virus might return.
I'm going to say no as well, and I'm going
Yeah.
to say yes to your second one.
Yeah.
Will Nemesis return?
No.
I'm going to say no. But like you said to the G-Virus, I wouldn't be surprised if some type of parasite returns.
Yeah, something that connects to some of the old
To
enemies.
either a Nemesis or to a RE4 or something like that.
Yeah.
Will Lickers or other basic BOWs return?
Yes. I think so.
I'm going to say yes to this as well. And will a Tyrant enemy return?
Yes.
I'm going to say yes as well. Will Claire be in the game?
No.
I'm going to also say no.
Yeah.
Will Ada be in the game?
Yes.
I'm going to say I fucking hope so.
I fucking hope so. 'Cause
I
it's
hope
Leon.
so. I really hope so. So I'm going to say yes, even though I have a feeling it'll be no. But I'm saying yes.
Okay.
Will Jill be in the game?
As much as it kills me to say this, no, I don't think so. From what I'm seeing, I don't know if they're going to add more characters in at this point. Maybe Chris, and maybe if Chris is in it, maybe Jill.
Well, I was going to say, because we've seen the Hound Wolf squad, I think Jill might get mentioned at least.
Maybe a mention. I'll
But
say
I
no,
don't think
but
I don't think she's going to appear.
I'll say no for appearance, yes for a mention.
Okay,
Same
me
thing
too.
with Claire.
Me
Let
too.
me backpedal with
Yeah,
Claire.
yeah,
too.
Claire. Yeah. Mention. Will Claire be in the game or mentioned in the game? No, yes.
Yes.
Ada, no, yes.
Yes.
Ada will be mentioned but not appear, I think.
I think she'll.
But I
appear.
hope she appears.
Yeah,
I really do hope
I'm
she
going to
appears.
say yes for appearance for Ada.
Yeah. Will Chris be in the game?
Yes.
Yes. You think so?
I think so. I think the voice actor we heard in the first trailer was Jeff Shine. Jeff Shine voices Chris. It makes sense that it would be Chris and not Carlos.
I think he'll appear.
Yeah.
At least on voice.
Yeah.
I could see him being a picture or something, yeah, for sure. Is Alyssa the monster?
No.
I'm going to say yes because I really want it to be true.
I know. We've said this in the beginning. It is a fun prediction, but I'm going to say no.
Okay. Is Grace a clone?
No.
I'm going to say no. Is Emily Elvis? His enemy is Emily Elvis.
Is Emily Elvis?
Yeah.
Good question. I'm going to say no, but she plays a part in it.
Okay. I'm
if
going
that
to say
makes
no as
sense.
well.
Yeah.
Is Emily immortal?
Perhaps once Victor Gideon gets what he wants from Grace, potentially. Maybe. So I'm going to say no for immortal.
I'm going to say yes for immortal.
Okay.
I think she's the building block to immortality.
I guess that's kind of where I'm
I
at
guess
too.
that wouldn't make her immortal though, but I think she will be by the end of the game.
Yeah, so as she stands, no, but she could potentially be immortal.
Will Raccoon City be explorable?
Yes, but with an asterisk of it'll be like it's still linear, but you're not going to be able to drive around in his Porsche and fucking drive to each street and shit like that.
If it is explorable, do you think we'll see the Kendo Gun Shop?
Yes, I think we'll see more landmarks outside.
The Kendo Gun Shop is literally behind the fucking police station in the remake.
It's got to be there.
He like goes out the ramp and you turn and it's right there.
So it's got to be there. If it's, I mean, it doesn't have to, but it could be like if you're going to destroy the buildings around it and have like the sign kind of hanging down and shit.
I'm going to
cool.
say yes.
Yeah, I'm going to say yeah.
Do you think Leon will stop at the Ms. Oil? I'm going to say no to this one. I think he's going to drive right by
I think
it.
he's going to drive by it and maybe take a glance at his old like vehicle and maybe say something because we do see the Wrangler in the front.
Yeah. Will the Hound Wolf squad not just appear in the game, but be the ones who save Leon and Grace at the end?
I think so.
I'm going to say yes, because I can't see them all dying.
No.
And they've got to be there for a reason. So it's either going to be that Leon and Grace stumble upon them imprisoned and save them, or they save Leon and Grace. I think it's they save Leon and Grace.
Yeah.
Will you be able to see any skeletons or bodies of notability? Marvin, Kendo, etc.
Yes.
I'm going to say yes. Will Leon die?
No.
I'm going to say no. Will Grace die?
I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say no as well. Now, both of those are the caveat that there's one ending.
Yes.
If there's two endings and they
and then
have
the fate
you can
does
save,
have to do with that.
because Grace could
Right.
be it, right? Like Leon could fail to save her. That could be the bad ending.
Yeah.
If there's two endings, like 7.
Right. If the ending difference is a fate difference.
So what we'll say is they won't die in the good ending.
Okay.
If there's only one ending or if there's a good ending, they won't die.
We'll say no.
Will Leon be cured of Raccoon City Syndrome, or will a cure be found of Raccoon City Syndrome?
I think he'll find it just in time in good old RE fashion, and I think that they'll find a way to distribute it to the rest of the gang.
Yes.
Sherry included.
Yeah, I agree.
Ada included. All of them above. And then
And
Leon
here's-
can finally
here's-
clap Ada.
Here's my favorite one. Will the game end in a self-destruct system?
It fucking better. If not, I'm turning off the game and I'm walking down the street. So I'm going to
It's
say yes.
yes. And here's another one I want to put on here too.
Sure.
Will Leon step foot in the nest again?
Yes. I think so.
I think the labs are there.
I think the labs are there. Obviously, with a self-destruct system, you could argue that how could it be there? And I would say maybe it's another part of the nest that hasn't been destroyed or explored yet, so it's still technically the nest.
Or maybe the explosion of the nest was a red herring and the lower floors didn't.
There's
Or it got rebuilt. It's been 30 years. About 30 years.
That's
They
a
could
good
have they
point.
could have rebuilt
That's
it.
a good point. There's got to be something lurking underneath the city remnants. There has to be. It's just too Resident Evil for that not to happen. Or some people could say, oh, it's in the Arkley, hidden behind the waterfall. It's hidden behind this. It's hidden behind. There's so many like different things that people are saying that things could be hidden.
Yeah.
It's got to be somewhere.
All right. Will this game receive higher than a 90 on Metacritic?
Yeah, I think it'll sit at like a 93, maybe a 90%. Could even be 95, but like I know they're, it's pretty strict. So I would say, yeah, I'd say at least a 90 and up.
My prediction is 91 or higher.
Okay.
In your personal opinion, your favorites, will this find its way in the top 10? What do you predict?
It's possible. I think maybe not top 5. No way.
I think top 5 is too clusterfucked for us.
Yes, but maybe top 10. Very, very possible.
RE4 Remake is I fall asleep every night questioning if it's in my top 5. It's really hard. And I had said at one point that it's number 2. But when you sit and you grow and stuff like that, I think top 10 this will be in my top 10, but it won't be in my top 3.
Okay.
It could squeeze into number 5, maybe.
Yeah, we'll see.
Maybe.
That's what the post-release show will be all about.
Yep.
See if we replace it.
Will this game be received positively by fans or negatively by fans?
I think positive.
Okay.
I think positive, personally. All community shit aside, all marketing shit aside, I think positive.
And then my final question,
Yeah.
which I also think it'll be positively received by fans. My final question is, what do you think is the number one thing that you predict they could do to make this game a dud?
The game a dud?
For me, it would be one ending where Leon dies.
Yeah, I think killing off Leon would be very disappointing, in my opinion.
And it's done laughably, would be mine.
Yeah, if it's done really bad, and if he passes away in a dumb way. But I think the other thing is just like lack of the variety they've been showing, lack of innovation, lack of a care for each character's section, where it just feels bland and boring.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't look like that at all, but I think that like the only thing I could see them is just if there is one thing that would drown the game, it's just the confusion bit. It's the RE6 kind of thing of just like not knowing what it wants to be, what it needed to be.
Yeah,
to serve the story.
I'm going to change my answer, actually. I don't think, if it's done well, Leon's death wouldn't ruin it for me. I think the true answer to this question is if they try to just do too much with too little time.
That's where I'm sitting.
The RE6 all over again.
The RE6 all over again, but this time not as much story, but maybe more gameplay. Where RE6, it was a mixture of both. It was the gameplay differences and the story differences and the replaying of the same sections and all that stuff. Where this, I feel like as long as they make it cohesive. If they don't, it can fall apart.
Okay. And then a bonus question. Will Leon say women in this game?
Probably, because Ada, even though he's probably going to help cure her ass, he still isn't going to get any ass. And, he deserves it. But she's going to just leave, and he's just going to say, women.
Women.
So,
to be his dying words.
Yeah.
Women.
Yeah, women.
Beep.
Yeah. Fucking hell. But yeah, that's
all I got. That's our predictions.
Little prediction, rapid fire.
Rapid fire predictions.
So by the time everybody sees this, Requiem will be coming out this week by the time you see this podcast. So just final thoughts before we go in. I mean, it's been over a half a year of covering this game. We're obviously excited. We're finished the Legacy series at this point.
I don't have to talk to that dirty-ass chat no more.
No, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, chat. Thank you guys so much for all the support with the Legacy series, for sure. It convinces us that we can do something like that in the future and it be not only worth the time, but also how cool you all are to chat Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Talk
we
Resident
know
Evil.
The conditions this time are a little more up against the wall. As Under Oath said, we haven't really been this excited for a Resident Evil game, a mainline RE game, probably since RE6 era. And obviously RE6, I was a lot more excited going into it. Like the pullback after playing it, not so much. And me and Richard talked about that at our time while our feelings were fresh, how it kind of really let us down. So I think for me, it really has been probably since RE5 era, like 2009. So I've been this excited for a mainline game. I was excited for 7. 7 was good, but it still kind of left me feeling like I wanted more. Well, Village, everybody kind of saw our reaction to that. So I definitely think for me personally.
Yeah, you have to judge it based on the release. You can't be more excited about this game than, we can't say we're more excited about this game because of how Village made us feel. You can only gauge it based on where we were before Village came out. Like, that's the excitement we're comparing it to. So for me, I haven't been this excited since the original Resident Evil 4. It's the first time I really feel like, everybody knows my story. Well, not everybody, but most people on this channel that watch religiously know my story. I didn't like co-op. I didn't have friends that played Resident Evil, so I skipped 5 and 6 when they first came out. I didn't even look at Resident Evil. But you know what I did do? I still played all of the games that came out before 5 and 6 every year. I played them on repeat. I'd play RE2 on a weekend. I'd get home from school, bang out Leon A, and then do my homework. Like, I was big into Resident Evil. Yeah. I just wasn't into the newer stuff.
Sure.
Because I didn't have friends, and I read a review. That's why you don't want to trust one review, or dishonest reviews, rather. I read a review that said if you don't have friends to play this with, you probably shouldn't spend money on it. And I took that to heart because that was what the power that gaming magazines had back then, or website articles or whatever. Yeah. And I was just like, oh, well, I'm not going to play it. This game has got me excited, brother.
Yeah. I think the hype with the videos, our discussions off camera, on camera, everything leads into it.
We've been living this game.
Yes.
Our conversations are always about this game. Like, it was either football or this game.
Yeah.
Or, like, that was it.
Yeah.
And then once our teams got eliminated, it was just this. So,
yeah, we've been just on it, covering this thing left and right. And
what can we do for the audience? What can we do for Patreon content and members content, which you guys, shout out to the members and Patreon. You guys are the lifeblood of the channel and keep us going.
Yeah.
You're the T-virus that reanimates our body every morning.
That is very true.
Talking to the microphone for 16 hours, and Anthony finally lets me out of the basement.
Yes, you are now allowed to leave.
You're not allowed to leave.
But yeah,
Anthony's in here with me. The joke's on him.
I was going to say, I'm part of it, too. I'm part of the being trapped in front of a monitor for hours, all of us.
I enjoy it, though. I'm making a joke, but I love it. I would never want to do anything else but this.
I like I said, just completely lucky and blessed to have, a great community. And, the channel just turned 16, and the community's still going strong.
You're turning 30.
I'm turning 30.
The channel has been around for more than half your life.
Yeah. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal for me. It's a milestone for me. for the channel, for me turning 30, for this game coming out during this time. It doesn't really feel like it's actually like real in many ways. We were saying that on the phone last night, but we're here, and so I'm just excited. The build up has been great. Hopefully the payoff is even better, and we're just going to enjoy it, take it all in, record a bunch of stuff, do the 24-hour live stream, and just like have a good time with everybody. And the next time you see us on a format like this, we would have played the game, we would have written a review, we would have done a bunch of videos pre and post launch. So I just want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts. This has been a crazy ride. Stick around, because it's not over when RE9 comes out. We got plenty more left in the tank for March. I know the hype tends to die down, but stick around, because if you're new here, whether you're listening or watching, it's just great to have you guys here. And RE is still going to keep going. There's still going to be more remakes. There's still going to be more sequels from what we're hearing.
And we have special plans planned for stream events and stuff as well.
Yeah, so I just want to say thank you. We love you. And we got to get to work. This whole next week is going to be a lot of preparation, a lot of stuff that we have to get into for the release. And that's it, guys. So as you know, like, subscribe. You can always listen and download this for free. Libsyn, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. And we'll see you on the other side of RE9 Requiem.
And let's hope we all get there.
Hope so.
Peace.
Peace.